Hey everyone, I'm so excited about the Sparkling Gemstones Mystery Box. And as much as I love that beautiful cutie, I really like what's inside the box too. Now, one of my favorite items is that mermaid sampler with the mosaic, and I love those little circles. My friend asked me if I could make some planet decals for her science stuff for her next school year. She is a teacher, so I thought the silver circles would be perfect. Now, because I do want a solid color background, we're going to add an offset to today's image. I am going to click Images, and I've already searched through, but I'm going to go ahead and search Planet, and then I'll just filter to Bookmarked, and that will bring up the one that I saved. So that's right here. I am on the fence if I want to, so I'm going to add that to my canvas. I'm on the fence if I want to include the little star things, so I'm going to do the offset and see what I think, and if I do like it, I'm going to keep it. Now, she already measured the item. I don't have it, so we're going 4 inches wide. My proportions are locked, so whatever the height is, and I will resize this actually after I do the offset. So let me go ahead. I'll just make this big for you guys so you can see. Okay, so right up here is that offset, and it's automatically defaulting to 1/4 inch. It's a little big for what I have in mind, so I'm going to go to 1/8 of an inch, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to click Apply, and keep in mind too, if you want the rounded corners or the sharp corners, I left them round because my image is rounded. So I'm going to click Apply, and now I am going to make this offset this light gray color. Now that is, I'm using just a silver permanent vinyl. Now I am going to leave Saturn black because that it will be my circle one, and you can change it to any color, but I'm just going to leave it black because I'll know. Then I'm going to select both by dragging my mouse around both, and I'm going to put it at a width of 4 inches. The height does not exceed 4 inches, so I am good to go. I'm going to save it real quick. It will prompt me before I go through, but I'll do it real quick. Jen's Science Box, and I will save that. Now, another thing I noticed is my machine family is set to Venture, and I'm using my Joy Extra today, so I am going to just change that really quickly before we proceed. I'm going to click Make, and I am not going to put these on the same mat even though they will fit because I am cutting different materials. So I'm going to click on a mat, confirm, and normally if they were this, like, I'm just doing the same material in different colors, I would go ahead and put them both on one mat, but I am not doing that, so I'm not going to do that today. They are different materials. So my circle piece is just about 4 inches by 3 inches, and my silver piece will be a little over 4 by a little over 3. So I'll probably do 4 by 4.5. I go just a little bit bigger to make sure I have enough room. So I'm going to click Continue. I have 2 Cricut Joy Extras, so it's going to look for it, and then I'll choose the one I'm using. And then I'm going to, this is my premium permanent vinyl first, so I'll search for that. That might even be on my saved for this machine. I'm not sure if it's favorited for this machine or not. Each machine you can set different favorites. You got up to 12. So each Joy Extra can have different ones, which is really great. So I'm going to click the one I'm using and let that connect. And then I will click my material, and we'll go over to my camera, and I will just cut down my materials a little bit, place them on my mat, that kind of fun stuff. And if you've never used the Joy or the Joy Extra, it's self-loading, so you just kind of, it's not self-loading, it's like auto-loading. So you put the mat near the rollers, and it pulls it through. My computer is just going really slow because I have my recording software going, so I'm gonna get this connected and come back. Okay, so I got this all working, and I have premium vinyl. The one I have is permanent matte, but the only option is the glossy one. It'll cut fine, so I'm not worried about it. So I'm going to click that, and then we'll go over to my machine. Okay, so I'm at my machine now, and I already cut down my transfer tape. I took it out of that Martha Stewart sampler that we got in here, so I already cut that down to 5 by 5. I knew my image wasn't going to be bigger than 4 by 4, so I pre-cut that down. Now for my mosaic here, you can use the grid lines on the back, and I use my self-healing mat as an extra guide just to make sure I'm good. So I just line it up here, and I'm just going to do like 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches just to be safe. And make it a little bigger. I do like to go a little bit bigger just so that I know I have enough material. And then if you have never made a decal that you're either saving for later or giving to a friend, you can just put the transfer tape on and set it aside until later, or you can just leave it as is and then apply it once you have the item. That's really up to you. So I cut this down, and then I'm going to do 4.5 by 4.5 for this one too. And we'll get those cut down. Okay. It's not quite 4.5, but we're going with it. And then, like I said, I am cutting this silver one first. So if you don't have a Joy Extra or a Joy, you'll notice on my machine that there are no buttons like the bigger machines have. So when I load this in, I go back to Design Space and I click Go, and that begins the cutting process. So I'm going to put this on here, and then I'll go click Go, and I will have all the cutting done off camera. But if you're new to the machine, I just wanted to show you, you just line it up against the gray rollers and it automatically pulls it in. So I'm going to do the cutting, and then when it's done, I'll show you how easy it is to change the material for the mosaic. Okay, so that finished cutting. And now I'm on to my mosaic mat. So I'll click Browse All Material, and the easiest way to find it is to just type in mosaic and then premium vinyl mosaic. Easy. And we'll click Done. We'll load and cut that, and then we'll come back and weed everything. Had you used the same materials, you could have clicked this little box and you won't have to change the material every time, but I didn't because I am changing materials. Okay, so now I have my two pieces ready to weed and apply to the transfer tape. So it looks like this didn't cut, but it did, and it's actually not hard to see in person. But I am gonna go ahead and show you guys quickly. So this corner here doesn't have a design on it, so I'm just going to peel it back to show you guys that the mosaic, it's not you weeding every single circle. It's like a sheet of vinyl. So as you peel it off, you see, you just get the look. All right, now I just gotta make sure that everything goes down the way. It did cut all the way through. I just am pulling it. Sometimes you just have to pull it at like different angles to really get what you need. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And you can see how pretty this looks. It is such a cool, pretty material. We don't use it enough. Okay, and then I'm going to weed my offset here. And what I do is usually weed the inside pieces first, and I stick it on the outside here because this is what's going to get thrown out. And then for how I layer, if I have the item, I will put this down first, and then I'll put that on top of it and line it all up. But since I am going to give this to her and she's going to apply it, I am just going to layer it on the transfer tape for her because that is not something she's going to know how to do or want to learn how to do. So I'm just going to take it, and I need to remember that my offset is 1/8 of an inch bigger, which may not seem like a lot, but when you need that extra room on your transfer tape, that matters. So make sure you're picking up your design in a way that you have extra room to put it down on this layer. Okay, and then this backing for our transfer tape, we're going to keep that because once we've put everything on the transfer tape, that's going to go back on here. The backing for our vinyl will go in the trash. So we're just going to burnish a little bit, flip it over, and we're going to remove the vinyl backing from the vinyl. Okay. That can go in the trash. And then we're going to line it up on this. Now you can kind of see how that's folding up a little because I keep my vinyl in rolls and they're rolled up. So all you have to do is take, I only have, crazy enough, heat resistant tape in my craft room. I don't even have like, oh, I fancy like double-sided tape, but I don't, this is all I have for tape. So I'm just going to place that down to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, but you can grab some parchment paper. I realize my head's in the way, guys. Sorry about that. I'm going to actually use the parchment paper so that my head won't be in the way. And you just take the parchment paper, because it's non-stick, you're going to set it on here with just a tiny portion of your design sticking off, so that way you can anchor that, okay? And then the parchment paper is transparent, so you can use that as a guide to make sure that this is lined up. And I know this might be hard to see on the camera. Let me set this down and I'll zoom in for you to see if you guys can see that. Oh, you guys can see it pretty good. Okay, so you'll see that. Let me get that to refocus. Okay, and then we're just going to press that down so it's stuck in place. We're going to peel our transfer tape back, remove our parchment paper, and then we're going to carefully put this down. Okay, transfer it on there. And then remember, we want to remove our vinyl backing from the vinyl, not the other way around. I burnished it onto there. I didn't burnish this one off, so I'm going to rub that from the back. And then here we go, and I'm going to take off that heat resistant tape that we used, and you'll notice we don't have any bubbles. Okay, I do have the heat tape on here, so I'll remove that. And this doesn't have to be perfectly straight, which is clearly not. And then you can just go ahead and put it back down on your transfer tape backing. And so say you're just new to your machine and you want to make a car decal, and for someone in a different state, you can just put it right back on the transfer tape backing. And I just send instructions with mine that say to, wipe the area with like a lint-free cloth and like an alcohol or an all-purpose cleaner, and then apply it and don't get it wet for at least 72 hours. You can see how pretty this is, and it's got like this nice reflective, it looks different from all angles. Alright guys, let me know if you have any questions.